The hall of the Galactic Council was the largest chamber humanity had ever seen. It was not made of stone or steel, but of a shimmering alloy that glowed with soft light, as if the walls themselves were alive. Delegates from hundreds of alien civilizations sat in great circles, each species represented by their rulers, generals, and scientists. At the very center of the hall was a raised platform where the most powerful leaders often stood to speak. On this day, the Galactic Council had gathered to discuss trade routes, disputes, and the new members of the council. Humanity was one of them. For centuries, humans had dreamed of meeting other civilizations. Now, after their discovery of faster-than-light travel, they had been invited to join the council. To most species, humans were newcomers, curious and clever but still far behind in science and technology. Some races laughed at their small fleets and their lack of great colonies. Others feared their unpredictable nature. Commander Elias Ward sat quietly in his chair, observing the chamber. He was chosen as one of Earth's first representatives. Tall, with sharp eyes and a soldier's posture, he had once been a decorated officer in the Earth Defense Force. After wars and victories, he had retired to diplomacy. Still, his military instincts never left him. He could feel the weight of 1,000 alien eyes watching humanity. The council session was long and filled with endless speeches. Alien voices echoed across the chamber, some translated into human language through small devices. Elias tried to keep his expression calm, though inside he felt restless. Then everything changed. The chamber doors opened with a sound like thunder. A group of tall, silver-armored guards entered, their armor gleaming like liquid metal. Every delegate turned their heads, for these were the royal guards of Cyrilla. And behind them walked the one figure almost no one expected to see, Queen Seraphis of the Zerillan Empire. The Zerillans were one of the oldest and most powerful races in the galaxy. Their empire stretched across hundreds of star systems. They were known for their cold logic, their advanced ships, and their unmatched warriors. The queen herself was rarely seen in public. She was tall and graceful, with dark blue skin that glowed faintly and eyes like polished obsidian. Her very presence made the chamber fall silent. Elias felt a chill run down his spine. Why was the queen here? She rarely attended council meetings in person. Something important was about to happen. Queen Seraphis walked slowly to the center platform. Her voice, deep and commanding, carried across the chamber without effort. "Council of the Galaxy," she said. "I come with a matter of life and death, not only for my family, but for the balance of our future." A ripple of whispers moved through the crowd. The queen lifted her hand and silence returned. Her next words stunned the hall. "My daughter, Princess Lysera, heir to the Zerillan throne, is dying." Shock filled the air. Delegates shifted in their seats. No one had ever heard of the princess being ill. Zerillan medicine was some of the most advanced in the galaxy. If they could not cure their own princess, then what could? The queen's eyes scanned the chamber, and then, to everyone's disbelief, they fixed on the human delegation. "Human," she said, her voice sharp like a blade. "My daughter needs you." The words fell like a hammer. Silence followed, heavier than before. Every alien in the hall turned toward Elias Ward. His chest tightened. For a moment he thought he had misheard, but no, the translator device confirmed it. The queen had spoken directly to him. Elias slowly stood, unsure if his legs would hold. He could feel the stares burning into him from every direction. He bowed his head respectfully, his voice steady though his heart raced. "Your Majesty," Elias said, I do not understand. I am honored, but why me? Humanity is new here. We are not healers greater than your people." The queen's gaze did not waver. "Because no alien medicine has worked. My daughter's illness is beyond our science. But the symptoms, they match something ancient. Something recorded only in your species' medical history. The human body holds answers no Zerillan mind can see. I believe only you can help." Gasps filled the chamber. Some alien delegates laughed in disbelief. Others whispered angrily. One reptilian ambassador hissed, "This is madness. To trust a primitive human with the life of a princess? Impossible." Elias felt heat rise in his chest. Primitive. Weak. That was how most aliens saw humans. But still, the queen had called on him. "Your Majesty," Elias said carefully, "I am no doctor. I was a soldier, and now I serve as a diplomat. Surely your empire has better men and women for this task." The queen raised her chin. "Do you refuse me, human?" The chamber froze. Everyone knew the weight of that question. To deny the Queen's request would be an insult to one of the galaxy's greatest powers. Elias took a deep breath. He thought of Earth, of his people watching this council session through broadcasts. If he failed here, humanity's reputation would crumble before it even began. "I do not refuse," Elias said firmly. "If you believe humanity can help, then I will do all that I can." A flicker of approval crossed the Queen's face. She nodded once. "Then it is settled. You will come with me to Xyrila. There you will see my daughter. You will find a way to save her." The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted in anger or disbelief. Some demanded explanations. Others warned of political games. But the Queen ignored them all. She turned and left the chamber, her guards following like shadows. Elias stood frozen for a moment. Then he looked at his fellow human delegates. Their faces were pale, their eyes wide with shock. One of them whispered, "What just happened?" Elias exhaled slowly. "I think," he said quietly, "we just became very important to the galaxy." As the council session broke into arguments, Elias felt the weight of 1,000 new eyes upon him. Humanity, once seen as weak and unimportant, had just been thrust into the center of galactic politics. The journey to Xyrila was unlike anything Elias Ward had ever experienced. The Queen's personal flagship, the Eternal Radiance, was not simply a ship. It was a moving fortress of light and power. Its hull shimmered like liquid silver, and its size dwarfed any human-built vessel. As Elias stepped aboard, he felt like an ant walking into a giant's palace. The corridors were wide and curved, glowing softly with alien energy. Strange patterns of light shifted along the walls as if the ship itself were alive. Everywhere he looked, armored Xyrilan guards stood at attention. They watched him with cold eyes, their weapons gleaming. To them, he was not an honored guest. He was an intruder, a fragile creature who had been chosen by their queen for reasons they could not accept. Elias kept his back straight, his soldiers' discipline steadying him. He had faced war zones and enemies before, but here, in the heart of an alien empire, he felt more alone than ever. The Queen herself did not speak to him during the first part of the journey. Instead, a royal attendant, a tall Xyrilan with silver markings on his face, guided Elias to his quarters. "You will wait here," the attendant said, his voice cold. "The Queen will summon you when it is time." The chamber was luxurious with soft glowing walls and a bed that adjusted itself to his body. But Elias could not relax. He paced, his mind racing. Why had the Queen chosen him? Why not a human doctor or a scientist? Surely Earth had experts more qualified than a soldier-turned-diplomat. Yet she had looked him in the eyes and declared him necessary. Hours passed before the summons came. Guards arrived and escorted him through the ship until they reached a large chamber sealed by tall silver doors. They opened with a hiss, revealing the Queen inside. She stood before a wide window, staring out at the stars. "Human," she said without turning. "You will see my daughter now." Elias bowed slightly. "Yes, Your Majesty." The Queen led him down a narrow corridor until they reached another chamber. When the doors opened, Elias's breath caught. The room was dim, lit only by faint blue lights. At its center was a crystal-like bed where Princess Lysara lay. She was smaller than he expected, younger too. Perhaps only in her early 20s in human years. Her skin, the same deep blue as her mother's, was pale and faintly glowing. Her breathing was weak, her eyes closed, and her body trembled as though caught in an endless fever. Beside her stood several alien doctors, their robes marked with glowing symbols. They turned when Elias entered, their faces hard with disapproval. "This is the human?" one of them said with clear disdain. "This a soldier?" The Queen's voice cut like ice. "This is the one I have chosen. You will allow him to try." The doctors exchanged looks but dared not argue with their queen. Still, Elias could feel their hostility. He was an outsider, an untrained fool in their eyes. Elias stepped closer to the bed, his heart tightening at the sight of the princess. Despite her weakness, she looked graceful, her features sharp yet soft. Her hands clutched the sheets as if fighting against some unseen pain. "What happened to her?" Elias asked quietly. The Queen's face was calm, but her eyes betrayed sorrow. "Weeks ago she began to weaken. Her energy drains each day. No medicine of our empire can cure her. Every attempt has failed. She grows weaker with each passing hour." Elias studied the princess carefully. He was no doctor, but during his military service he had seen men and women suffer strange illnesses in hostile environments. Something about her condition, her fever, her trembling, the pale glow of her skin, reminded him of ancient Earth diseases he had once read about. She looks like someone with an immune system collapse, he said slowly, like her body is fighting something it doesn't understand. One of the alien doctors scoffed. Childish guesswork. He knows nothing. Elias ignored the insult. He moved closer, noticing faint patterns glowing beneath Lysara's skin like veins of light. He frowned. Her body is reacting. It's trying to fight something, but it can't. The Queen studied him. Can you help her? Elias hesitated. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But on Earth we have records of old diseases, plagues we fought and survived. Maybe something in our history matches her symptoms. The Queen's eyes hardened. Then you must find it. I did not bring you here to doubt. I brought you because I believe humans have what we lack. Elias nodded slowly. Then I'll try. For the next several hours, Elias worked with the alien doctors, though they resisted him at every step. He asked for scans, blood samples, and genetic readings. They sneered at his crude methods, but obeyed only because the Queen commanded it. As the data streamed across glowing alien screens, Elias struggled to make sense of it. Their medical technology was beyond anything humans had, but the patterns he saw reminded him of something simple, something almost forgotten, an ancient Earth virus. He remembered reading about it in his academy days during training in survival medicine, a disease that once killed millions until humans developed immunity. Measles, Elias whispered. It looks like measles. The alien doctors stared blankly. They had never heard the word. It's a human disease, Elias explained. Centuries ago it spread across Earth. It was deadly, but our immune systems adapted. We survived. Now it's almost gone, but fragments of it still exist in our medical records. If her illness is similar. The Queen leaned forward. You can cure her? Elias exhaled slowly. Not yet. But maybe. If her body can be taught to fight it like humans once did, she might recover. The doctors protested furiously. This is madness. To compare the illness of our princess to primitive human plagues is insulting, but the Queen silenced them with a single gesture. He will try. If you wish to question my orders, you may leave my sight. The doctors bowed reluctantly, their faces twisted with anger. Elias turned back to the Queen. I'll need access to your medical library and to Earth's records, too. I'll also need time. You will have it, the Queen said. But understand this, human. If you fail, my daughter dies. And if she dies, your species will never be forgiven. The weight of her words struck him like a blade. Humanity's future rested on his shoulders. If he failed, not only would a princess die, but Earth itself could become an enemy of one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. That night, Elias sat alone in his chamber aboard the Eternal Radiance. He stared at the glowing data tablets spread before him, comparing alien scans with fragments of Earth's ancient medical records. His mind raced, exhaustion pulling at him, but he refused to rest. For hours he worked. For hours he remembered every lesson he had learned in the military, every survival trick, every scrap of medical training. He was not a doctor, but he was a human, and humans had survived worse than this. Finally, he leaned back, his eyes heavy. The challenge was enormous. The danger was greater than anything he had faced in war. But one thought kept him going. The image of Princess Lysara, pale and trembling, her life slipping away. The following days were filled with struggle. Elias Ward worked inside the royal palace on Zarela, surrounded by alien doctors who disliked him. The palace itself was breathtaking, made of crystal-like stone that glowed faintly under the alien suns. But Elias had no time to admire it. His mind was focused only on one thing, saving Princess Lysara. Every morning he was escorted to the medical chambers by armored guards. Every evening he returned exhausted, his head heavy with data and doubts. He studied alien scans, compared them with Earth's forgotten medical records, and tried to find patterns that matched. The alien doctors, proud of their own science, made his work harder. They whispered behind his back, mocking his methods. One of them, Dr. Vaynar, sneered openly. You are no healer, human, Vaynar said. You are a soldier, a creature of war. What makes you think you can solve what we cannot? Elias looked him in the eyes. Because humans don't give up. Even when the odds are impossible. The words silenced the room for a moment, though the hostility never left their faces. Princess Lysara's condition worsened each day. Her once glowing skin turned pale. Her voice, soft and musical, grew weaker, yet whenever Elias spoke with her, she forced herself to smile. One evening, as Elias sat by her bed, she opened her eyes and whispered, "Why do you care so much, human?" "You owe me nothing," Elias paused. "Because you're fighting for your life, and I've seen too many people lose that fight. I can't let it happen again." Lysara studied him, her dark eyes shining faintly. "Your kind is strange. You burn so brightly even when you should fall." "That's what being human means," Elias said softly. "We fall, but we always stand back up." A faint smile touched her lips before sleep took her again. Those words gave Elias strength. Each failure pushed him harder. When one treatment failed, he adjusted the next. When a scan revealed nothing, he searched deeper. The alien doctors called him reckless, but he called it persistence. One night, disaster nearly struck. A new experimental treatment based on human immune history caused Lysara's body to convulse violently. Alarms filled the chamber as her breathing faltered. The doctors rushed to stop him. "You will kill her," Vanar shouted, shoving Elias aside, but Elias refused to give up. He grabbed the medical tools and acted on instinct. Memories of battlefield medicine flooded his mind, the desperate moments when he had to save soldiers with nothing but improvisation. His hands moved quickly, adjusting the alien machine, changing its settings, forcing it to match what he remembered from human treatments. The doctors shouted in horror, but then Lysara's breathing steadied. Her body calmed. The glow beneath her skin dimmed, then stabilized. Silence filled the chamber. Elias's chest rose and fell heavily. Sweat dripped from his brow. He had acted without thinking, guided only by human instinct. But it had worked. The queen entered moments later. Her cold eyes scanned the room, then settled on her daughter's calmer form. For the first time, a flicker of hope touched her face. "What happened?" she asked. Elias met her gaze. "I trusted my instincts, and she survived." The doctors protested, claiming recklessness, but the queen silenced them. "Enough. The human saved her when you could not. From this moment, he will lead her treatment. You will assist him." The doctors bowed reluctantly, their pride wounded. Elias knew they hated him more now than ever. But he also knew he had won something important: trust. In the days that followed, Lysara grew a little stronger. She was still weak, but her body no longer collapsed as quickly. Each evening, Elias sat with her, telling her stories of Earth. He spoke of the oceans, vast and endless, where ships once sailed without fear of the stars. He told her of mountains so high they touched the clouds, and of forests that whispered with life. He spoke of humanity's struggles, wars, disasters, and yet the endless will to survive. Lysara listened with wide eyes. "Your world sounds so alive," she whispered one night. "So full of chaos and beauty." "It is," Elias said. "And so are we. That's why we survive. We don't always win because we're strong. We win because we adapt." Her gaze lingered on him, filled with quiet admiration. "Perhaps that is what makes you dangerous and wonderful." But while Lysara's health improved slowly, danger grew in the shadows. Not everyone in the Zyrillan Empire wanted the human to succeed. Whispers filled the palace halls. Rival nobles feared that if a human saved the princess, it would change everything. Humanity would rise from insignificance to power, supported by the queen herself. Some called it an insult to Zyrillan pride. Others feared it would shift galactic politics in dangerous ways. One evening, as Elias returned to his quarters, a shadow moved in the corridor. A figure stepped forward, cloaked and silent. A blade of crackling energy flashed toward him. Instinct saved him. Elias twisted, the blade grazing his side. Pain burned through him, but he grabbed the attacker's wrist, twisted hard, and slammed the figure into the wall. The assassin hissed, revealing reptilian features beneath the cloak. "Human," the assassin snarled. "You will not change the galaxy." Before Elias could respond, guards rushed in. The assassin tried to escape but was cut down by the queen's soldiers. Elias stood panting, clutching his bleeding side. When the queen heard of the attempt, her fury shook the palace. "There are those who would see my daughter die to preserve their pride," she said coldly. "But they will learn that I protect what is mine." Elias, still recovering, realized something deeper. This was no longer only about saving Lysara. This was about survival, not just for her but for humanity. If he failed, his people would remain weak and dismissed. If he succeeded, humanity would rise. The pressure weighed heavy on his shoulders, but it also ignited something inside him. He had faced enemies before. He had fought wars. Now he fought for something greater than himself, for trust, for hope, for the future of his species. Each day, the trials grew harder. Each day, Elias faced suspicion, sabotage, and doubt. But each day, he stood tall, refusing to bend, and through it all, the bond between him and the princess deepened. She was no longer just a patient. She was a friend, a symbol of why he could not fail. One night, as he sat beside her, Lysara reached out weakly and touched his hand. Her voice was soft but filled with determination. "Elias," she whispered, "promise me something." "Anything," he said. "Promise me you will not give up. No matter what they say, no matter who tries to stop you." Elias looked into her eyes filled with quiet fire despite her weakness. He squeezed her hand gently. "I promise," he said. For weeks, Elias Ward had worked tirelessly. Each day, Princess Lysara grew a little stronger. Her color returned. Her breathing became steady and the faint glow in her skin began to normalize. It was slow progress, but progress nonetheless. The alien doctors, once openly hostile, now watched him with a mixture of awe and resentment. He had earned their grudging respect, but the galaxy outside the palace was no calmer than the turmoil inside. Word had spread. A human, a simple Earth soldier, was saving the Zerillan princess where their greatest scientists had failed. Across star systems, whispers and rumors began to stir. Many alien factions were stunned. Some were furious. In the Council of Mardex, one of the rival empire's emissaries met in secret. "A human saved the Zerillan heir?" One of them hissed, scales rippling in anger. "This is unacceptable. If humans gain the Queen's favor, our plans for influence fail." "Then we must act," replied another. "The human cannot be allowed to continue. If he succeeds, humanity rises. If humanity rises, the balance shifts against us." Plans were made in the shadows, assassination attempts plotted, and spies were sent to Zerilla. The Council's whispers reached Elias through subtle warnings, unmarked messages, small threats, and strange disturbances in the palace corridors. Despite this, Elias refused to let fear guide him. He focused on Lysara, running treatments, monitoring her body, and guiding the alien doctors through unconventional methods based on human knowledge. One evening, the palace bells tolled unusually. Alarm lights flashed red along the corridors. Something was happening. Elias rushed to Lysara's chamber. The princess was awake, her eyes wide with alarm. "Elias," she said, her voice trembling. "Something's wrong. Guards are shouting." Before he could answer, the doors burst open. Masked figures with advanced weapons stormed the room. They moved swiftly, aiming directly for Elias and the princess. "Attack!" one of them shouted in a harsh alien tongue. Elias reacted immediately. Years of military training took over. He grabbed Lysara, pulling her behind the bed. His mind raced as the attackers fired energy blasts. He ducked, rolled, and returned fire with a compact Zerillan side weapon the Queen had lent him. Though he was no soldier anymore, instinct guided his every move. Lysara watched in terror, but Elias spoke calmly. "Stay down. Don't move!" The attackers were highly trained. They coordinated their moves, trying to corner them. But Elias had something no alien army could predict: human creativity under pressure. He used the room's holographic displays, spinning light panels to block lasers, creating shadows to hide in. Every movement was precise, every choice calculated. A guard arrived, joining Elias. Together, they fought the intruders back toward the corridor. The hallways were chaotic, filled with alarms and flashing lights. Elias realized the attackers wanted to kidnap the princess, not kill her. Their goal was political leverage. He knew he had to escape. Using his knowledge of human tactics, he led Lysara through secret passages, corridors known only to palace insiders. Energy blasts fired around them, but Elias's quick thinking saved them time and again. Finally, they reached a safe chamber deep inside the palace. The doors sealed shut. Lysara leaned against the wall, breathing heavily. "Elias, how did you—" she whispered. "We survived because we adapt," he said simply. "Humans always find a way. That's what makes us dangerous." Lysara smiled weakly, her admiration growing. She now understood why her mother had summoned him. Not just for knowledge, but for courage, resourcefulness, and determination, traits that no alien technology could teach. Meanwhile, Queen Seraphis had taken action. Her personal guard, the elite Starlight Legion, mobilized immediately. They secured the palace, rounding up the attackers and interrogating them. Every piece of intelligence pointed to rival empires fearing human influence. The queen herself summoned Elias and Lysara to her chamber after the incident. Her gaze was sharp but proud. "You survived the attack," she said, "and you protected my daughter. That is no small feat. You have proven that humanity is not to be underestimated." Elias bowed slightly. "I did what I had to, Your Majesty." The queen nodded. "No, you did more than that. You have shown resourcefulness, courage, and loyalty, all qualities our empire respects, even if some refuse to see them yet." Lysara reached out and touched Elias's arm. I owe my life to you," she said softly. "You saved me, more than once." Elias felt a warmth in his chest. Saving her was not just a duty anymore. It had become personal. He realized he cared deeply for the princess, not romantically, but in a way that bound him to her fate and the future of her people. The next weeks were tense. Rival empires attempted more subtle sabotage, tampering with medical equipment, spreading false reports, even trying to turn palace staff against him. Yet Elias remained steadfast. His knowledge of human history, human ingenuity, and his refusal to give in to fear became his greatest weapons. Lysara's recovery progressed faster now. She regained her strength, sat up in bed, and began walking short distances with Elias supporting her. Her curiosity about humans grew as well. "Tell me more about Earth," she said one morning. "About the people who survive wars and disasters, who rebuild and never stop trying." Elias smiled. "It is in our nature to adapt, to take what we have and make it enough. Sometimes it fails, sometimes it succeeds, but we never stop trying. That is why you live today, because humans never give up." Her eyes shone with admiration. "You are remarkable, Elias. I never expected such resilience from your kind." The queen, observing this, began to see the larger picture. A human had not only healed her daughter, but had also demonstrated qualities that her empire had undervalued. Loyalty, creativity, courage, and persistence. All traits humans possessed in abundance. One day the queen convened a private council with Elias. "You have done more than I could hope for," she said. "But understand this, the galaxy is watching. Many see humans as weak. Many want to strike before your influence grows." Elias nodded. "I understand, but I will not stop. Not for them. Not for anyone." The queen studied him for a long moment, then smiled faintly. "Good, that is why I chose you. Not because of knowledge, but because of will. That is what no alien science can replicate." Through these trials, Elias realized something profound. The battle was no longer only about saving a princess. It was about proving humanity's worth to an entire galaxy. Every choice he made, every life he protected, sent a message. Humans were not pawns, they were potential allies, innovators, and protectors. And the galaxy had underestimated them. As Lysara regained strength, she began to walk the palace gardens with Elias by her side. Strange alien flowers glowed under twin suns, and crystal fountains shimmered with liquid light. The princess turned to him, her voice filled with wonder. "I once thought humans were weak," she admitted. "But I see now, you are not. You are extraordinary." Elias smiled. "We may be fragile, but we endure. We fight, we adapt. That is what humans do." In that moment, standing in the glowing gardens of an alien world, Elias felt a deep sense of purpose. Humanity was no longer distant or small. They were part of a galaxy that would soon learn to respect them, perhaps even fear them. The weeks of struggle, danger, and tireless work had paid off. Princess Lysara now walked freely through the halls of the Zirillan palace, her steps confident, her eyes bright. The glow in her skin was gone, replaced by a healthy radiance that showed life returning to her body. Elias Ward stood by her side, observing her with quiet satisfaction. He had learned more about the Zirillan Empire than any human had before. He had survived assassination attempts, political sabotage, and the skepticism of some of the galaxy's most intelligent minds. And now he could finally breathe. But even as the palace seemed calm, the galaxy outside had changed forever. Word of the human who saved the princess spread like wildfire. Every council, every empire, every trading alliance had heard the tale. Some were astonished. Others were terrified. Humanity had proven itself capable of greatness beyond what anyone expected. Elias and Lysara were summoned to the Grand Hall of the Zirillan Empire, a room so vast that it could fit entire fleets of ships inside. The walls shimmered with light and energy, and thousands of delegates had gathered. The Queen's voice echoed through the hall as she spoke to every alien present. "Today," Queen Seraphis said, her tone firm and unwavering, "I declare that humanity is no longer to be seen as weak or insignificant. They are our allies, our friends, and our protectors. Without them, my daughter would not live." A murmur spread through the audience. Many ambassadors and leaders could hardly believe what they were hearing. Some shifted uneasily in their seats. Others, especially rival factions, scowled with disbelief. Elias stepped forward, feeling the weight of every eye upon him. He did not bow excessively. He did not boast. He simply stood tall, proud to represent humanity. Princess Lysara approached him and placed her hand lightly on his arm. She turned to the assembly. "This human," she said clearly, "has saved my life. He has risked everything to ensure I live. If that is not a sign of strength, of loyalty, and of courage, then I do not know what is." The room fell silent, then erupted in a mixture of applause, astonished murmurs, and a few bitter groans. Aliens who had once dismissed humans now stared with respect. Some even leaned forward, curious about the species they had underestimated. Queen Seraphis's gaze softened as she turned to Elias. "You have done more than save my daughter," she said. "You have shown that humans are capable of greatness that no technology alone can achieve. Their courage, ingenuity, and persistence are unmatched. For this I owe your species gratitude beyond measure." Elias felt a warmth in his chest. It was not pride exactly. It was something deeper, a sense of purpose, of belonging, of being seen for who he truly was. Humanity, small and untested, had finally earned recognition among the stars. Even the skeptical alien doctors who had once doubted him now bowed their heads. "Your methods were unconventional," Dr. Vayner admitted, "but they worked. You have proven that human instincts can match our science." The Queen raised her hand, silencing the room once more. "And now," she said, "I offer humanity a place not just in our council but in our hearts. You are allies, equals, and friends of the Zerillan Empire. Let no one ever doubt your worth again." The halls echoed with applause, light flashing from crystal walls and shimmering floors. Elias looked at Lysara, who smiled at him, her strength and determination now fully restored. "You see, human," she said softly, "I am alive, and the galaxy will never forget it." Elias nodded. "We're just getting started," he replied. In the days that followed, human representatives were invited to participate in high-level council meetings, long closed to outsiders. Other species, once arrogant or dismissive, began to approach with cautious respect. Many sought alliances, trade agreements, and technological partnerships. Humanity had risen from a small, underestimated race to a force that could shape galactic events. Meanwhile, within the palace, Elias continued to advise the princess. Their bond had grown deeper than simple gratitude. Lysara, once fragile and ill, now walked beside him with confidence, learning more about Earth, its people, and its culture. She began to understand why humans had survived against odds that would have destroyed other civilizations. "You are remarkable," Lysara said one afternoon as they walked through the palace gardens. Twin suns bathed the glowing flora in soft light. "Not just because of what you did for me, but because of what you represent. Your people, your world. You carry the spirit of humanity with you." Elias smiled, humbled. "We do what we must. We adapt, we survive. And when we succeed, we help others survive too." She nodded thoughtfully. "Then perhaps that is why the Queen called you. Not for medicine alone, but for the courage and will to endure. That is something no empire can teach." Even rival factions had to admit the truth. Humanity had proven its value not with weapons or fleets, but with perseverance, ingenuity, and loyalty. The Zerillan Empire, once wary of humans, now welcomed them as equals. The galaxy had witnessed the rise of a new power, a force that could not be ignored. Weeks turned into months, and the princess's health stabilized completely. The palace celebrated her recovery with a grand ceremony. Aliens from across star systems attended, eager to witness the human who had changed the course of history. Elias stood at her side, his heart steady, knowing he had fulfilled his promise. "You kept your promise," Lysara whispered. Once the ceremony ended and the hall emptied. "You did not give up, not once." Elias shook his head with a small smile. "It was never just my promise. It was humanity's. And now the galaxy knows what we can do." The Queen approached, her expression proud. Elias, you have done more than I could have imagined. You have saved my daughter and elevated your people in the eyes of the stars. I can offer you nothing more than my gratitude, but know this. Humanity will always have a place in our empire, and I will ensure that your deeds are remembered. Elias bowed. Your Majesty, it is an honor beyond words. I only did what I could. Humanity. We do not seek glory, only survival and progress. The Queen smiled faintly. Then we are in agreement. As the sun set over the palace, casting golden light over the crystal walls, Elias looked out at the horizon. For the first time, he felt the weight of human potential. They had arrived in the galaxy not as conquerors, not as invaders, but as equals. Resilient, intelligent, and unstoppable. And this was only the beginning. Across the stars, humans would continue to rise. They would explore, build alliances, defend the weak, and face dangers that no one else could overcome. They would adapt where others failed. They would survive where others fell. And the galaxy would learn one undeniable truth. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was the wild card the universe had never expected. Elias turned back to Lysara, her dark eyes shining with life and curiosity. Are you ready for what comes next? She asked, a small smile on her lips. Elias took a deep breath, feeling a surge of determination. We face it together. Humanity and Zyrilla side by side, the princess nodded. Then let the galaxy witness a new era.